everyone. Welcome back. It's great to have you guys here. My name is Ryan Selvy. I'm having the privilege to kick off yet another week of sales with Lloyd for aescripts and AE plugins, a really wonderful site to find a bunch of really great plugins and scripts for a bunch of your creative needs, from things that you have so procedurally and have to then speed them up to things that are more complex. We have a lot of people on the stream this week, which I'm really excited about. We have a few today, and we're also going to be going over a bunch of the plugins all across the site, because as you guys may or may not know, it's Cyber Week, which is exciting. And unlike our previous streams when we have talked about just a few plugins that were unique to the stream and unique to the sale, this time it is site-wide and it's 25% off, which is the biggest sale of the entire year. So you can really load up your baskets, and instead of spending money on other people for the holidays, treat yourself. But I have the privilege of also introducing Lloyd, who is the creator of aescripts and AE plugins. If you're not familiar and you're here by some happen chance, make sure you check out aescripts.com. I'm going to go ahead and throw it in both chats here. And as we do that, please say hello to Lloyd. Hey, Lloyd, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited about today. I'm excited about all week. I personally have not spent any money yet, but I'm sure this stream will probably get me there, which I'm excited about.
We have all week.
Yeah, right. So this stream goes every single day at 4:00, and the sale goes all the way until Friday. So Monday to Friday, you have 25% off, right?
That's right. We used to do Black Friday, which we realized that people really need to be hanging out with their families on Black Friday. Then we moved it to Cyber Monday, which is when everybody's back at work. But then we realized one day is just really not enough time. And then we would play those little games where we would extend the sale. A lot of people like to do that, even though they always extend it. So we, in our spirit of we're all in this together, it's the whole week. It's plenty of time. We do lots of advanced notice. So hopefully everybody gets a chance to get their stuff in without having to rush.
Yeah, I saw actually over the holiday weekend, I saw that you had tweeted or posted somewhere about taking the time to spend with family and making sure that you take the holiday to be the holiday, and then this week to be the week that you swipe that credit card. I do want to say hi to a bunch of people in the chat, both on Behance and YouTube. If you are on either of the one, we will be keeping you updated as to what people are saying on the other side. But a big hello to Annika Agarwal and Jack Watson over on Behance. And then we have Flo, Autokroma, Confusion X, Nathan SK. Is it Nathan's K or is it Nathan SK? And it's great to have everybody here. Make sure you say hello in the chat or lurk and find out the best deals that you can. We have some guests on later today, but before we even do any of that, we kind of wanted to go in and break down a few of the plugins that are available for sale. Like I said before, it is site-wide, so we've got a lot of content to go through. These are just kind of cherry-picking some ones that we think are exciting to feature. But if you have any questions about any of the plugins that we talk about, we'll be posting their links in the chat. And then also, if you have any questions that we can speak to, we are happy to keep the conversation open. It is a live stream after all, so please, by all means, ask away, and we'll be happy to tell you.
Are we live?
We are live. Make it live. Also, hello to Let's Motion. Good to see you. There is some exciting, because we've done this in the past, and it's cool to see people show up again from over the summer or other times that we have streamed. So thank you for tuning in again, and it's great to see you guys. The first one that we're going to actually check out today is one that Lloyd brought up in first one when I asked him about ones that he was excited about talking about, and it's Volna 2. And then we have a few other ones that we're going to be playing through straight through, and then we'll talk about it. So here you guys go. All right. And the next one we have up is depth scanner.
Is browsing through your media files a pain? Meet your new hero, AE Viewer, the best and fastest way to preview and import files directly in After Effects and Premiere Pro, where you can navigate all your files, create collections, install packages, and find everything instantly. And it's free. And if you want more, with the Pro version, you can customize your import options, create an expressions library, and build your packages. Amazing, right? Get your copy at aescripts.com/AEviewer.
Wow. All right. So we just took a look at a lot of ones very quickly. We're going to take some time. We're going to break down a few comments about them. But first off,
I just wanted to chat a little bit about them. So the first one we watched was Volna 2, which, as you can tell by the number 2, it's the second version or major version for what I would call a really advanced 3D stroke plugin. And this new version is awesome. And it's got like some really awesome features that you really couldn't do before. The way that it does like the intersections of the strokes are phenomenal. And also you can almost make it act and feel like a particle generator, but it's not a particle generator. It's actually just a 3D stroke plugin. So it's much, much easier to set up and control. So yeah, this one's one that some people might not be aware of. And I think it's a really great.
So when did the second one come out?
It came out about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. The new version did. Volna came out last year. So,
and as we were saying, it's 25% off site wide. So even though it only came out about a month or two ago, it's already on sale, which is really exciting. Obviously, that's not something that is typical for things that are coming straight out. So this is a really good time to get a discount for a really powerful plugin that's still very new.
And if you bought Volna 1, you can actually get a 25% discount on the upgrade. So that's why we say this is the biggest sale of the year, because everything's on sale. The upgrades are on sale as well. So it's a great time to upgrade if you haven't upgraded.
And this is something that we talk about a lot on these streams, is the idea of updates and the reliability of buying things on aescripts. It's when you buy something, a lot of the developers continue to update their plugins and you can download them as they go. And it's really exciting to see that you can also, when it brings onto another whole level of a whole second sequel of a plugin, you can then get a discount as an upgrade feature to then, still get back, which has always been really great. Next up, we went ahead and we showed the depth scanner, which I thought was so cool. I saw that on Twitter a week or two ago.
Depth scanner, the Pro, when we released it, it kind of broke the internet a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and people's minds were blown. My mind was blown, because essentially this is where you're really starting to see the power of AI. Come into some really practical applications. So basically, it's generating a depth map for real footage. It doesn't have to be a moving camera, and it can be a still camera. Like that shot right there is the still shot. And so basically, you just absolutely would not be able to do that. They are some websites, and command line Python scripts and stuff that you can do it, but it requires a lot of really geekiness and know-how. And so really our aim here is to bring it into a very easy to use plugin that you can just put on a layer and get your depth map. Because it's AI, it is a little bit compute intensive. So there's actually both a GPU and a CPU version. So the CPU version will be more compatible, right? More machines can use it, but it's going to run a little slower. But it's pretty insane. And like, traditionally you would get a depth map from a 3D program so that you can do compositing. But now that you can get a depth map on footage, you can do some really creative things that just were never possible before, because I never really had a depth map before. I guess now they're having these sort of depth cameras and stuff, but it's a new field, and it's really exciting to be able to bring a plugin like this to market. And
yeah, I really like this depth-based grading. It's something that I think can really be used for stylizing branded things and making sure that you can take footage that would otherwise be a little bit boring, and you can find a really cool, unique way to take that depth and the idea of 3D off of something that was just shot regularly.
And somebody actually mentioned that you could even use that depth thing for sort of like light keying as well, because of course, if this person's in a certain part in the depth, you can kind of
that would be wild, just to be able to key out the background, just because it goes past a certain point.
Interestingly enough, this is from the same developer that did Goodbye Green Screen, which is a plugin that allows you to key anything. So as you can see, things are related. At the bottom of the page, you can see there are other plugins. So
just for the record, Blaze Plugins is a little bit accountable for when people say, "Oh, we'll fix it in post." That's all on them. Yes. We do have Reuben coming up in just a second, but I do want to call out. Flo was asking about generating elements or just animating them. I think that was in reference to Volna, but it might have also been Helium, because then Let's Motion also.
Helium. We'll get to Helium, because first I want to talk about AE Viewer. Okay. So AE Viewer is a media browser that has been around for a couple of years, but this summer we released AE Viewer 2. And the biggest thing to know about that is we made it free. We made it completely free. And I'm bringing it up now because I think more people need to know the fact that we basically feel we've delivered the best media browser for After Effects and Premiere Pro. And we've made it free. And then there's also a pro version, which is what you can use your discount with. And what the pro version does is it lets you create packages that are easily browsed in AE Viewer. So if you are, like, say, a template author and you have like 1 million elements and you want it to be really easy for your customers or your clients to browse all your elements, you would create a package with the pro version, and then the client or anybody else can use the free version to browse this package, which basically, you can preview comps, you can preview footage, audio, fonts, comps. I'm repeating myself here. You can preview a lot of things in real time, and that's the other thing. It's super fast. So basically, you can really, not stop your creative juices just because you're looking for something.
And I know we were talking about it on Depth Scanner a little bit, and we know that a lot of GPUs are in high demand ever since lockdown. The really beautiful thing about AE Viewer is the hopeful death or closer inch to death of project files that just completely wreak havoc just when you're opening them, because you have everything that you want to have linked and you want to drag and drop. You don't even have to do that, because it doesn't even have to be linked directly to the project. It can all just be viewed within AE Viewer, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, next we watched Helium, which is a plugin we just released very recently. It's a new 3D plugin for After Effects, and a lot of people immediately say, well, is it supposed to compete or replace Element 3D? And the answer is no. They are, while they both do 3D, they really are intended to be kind of different. Element 3D, as everybody knows, is a super in-depth, really capable 3D plugin that has been around for a while. It's got really a lot of depth to it. Helium is intended for when you want to basically make good-looking 3D, but you either are not a 3D expert, or you don't have the time or the budget to send it to a 3D person, or you don't really want, even if you know something like Element 3D, you just don't need to go into that level of thing. Helium is based on simple to select presets and then simple to adjust controls. So you say, for example, select a spline preset, and then there's just like 3 or 4 sliders that you can change the spline parameters and get the spline looking exactly like you want, and then you're going to get a really high quality, super good looking 3D result. So it does text, it does terrains, it does you can do 3D models, you can link it to data to do 3D visualization of data. So the target here is just really easy, quick 3D directly in After Effects without having to be an expert. It's really easy to use. So easy that people are saying you don't even really need a tutorial to use it. And it's also really fast, which of course is super important when you're talking about 3D. You're muted.
3D in particular is very daunting to me and something I've always been interested in. And it's really exciting to see all these different solutions popping up that are making it so much more accessible, especially as computers get more powerful. And dare I say it, metaverse and the idea of 3D becoming more intertwined with things like VR and AR. And then, of course, you just see 3D around design way more than you used to. So
yeah, you're the target audience for this, Ryan. You've been talking about you want to get into 3D. Well, there you go.
Bring it on. Helium it is. And so yes, that's also, as we were saying with everything else, 25%.
Huge savings.
I cut you off a bit. Sorry.
Helium, so as you can imagine, 3D plugins are more expensive usually. So one thing we're trying with Helium is making it a subscription so that it's a cheaper price for an annual subscription. And as part of the cyber sale, we're giving 2 extra months. So you get 14 months instead of 12 months when you get an annual subscription.
That was fantastic. So it'll be interesting to see.
Get into it with a lower cost. Do we have time to watch any more, or we have to jump into the first?
Yeah, so we have Reuben waiting in the green room for us. So we should have him hop in real quick, and then we can hop into a little bit more.
Oh, we should mention that Alex unfortunately couldn't make it today. He was on the schedule earlier.
Oh, yes.
So Alex,
which we will be going over his stuff anyway.
Yeah, he's the author of A Viewer, so we mentioned that.
Yeah. And so Reuben's up next. He has 20 years experience working in traditional and digital media. He's from Massachusetts. He has a Gumroad with a bunch of tutorials, but he also has created 2 really great things that we want to touch on today with our marker remap and match position. Before we bring him in, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to play the trailer for marker remap, and then we'll bring him in. So here we go.
Marker Remap lets you retime compositions using split layer markers in 2 easy steps. First, add timeline markers split around key actions in the composition you'd like to retime. Once placed into a parent comp, simply click Enable Retiming, and that's it. Adjust, delete, rearrange, or retime correspondingly named layer markers. You can use the Marker Remap panel to extract all or some comp markers, copy and paste entire marker sets across layers and comps, and even shift markers for easy timing edits. Marker Remap will change the way you work. Reuse pre-comps at entirely different timings. Easily frame hold pre-comp segments. Trigger pre-comp sequences in any order. Add flags to marker names to time reverse or loop marker segments. Or retime complex sequences that would take hours to retime manually, or that are confusing to keep track of with native time remapping keyframes or time stretching workflows. finally get some control over time remapping with Marker Remap. Available now at aescripts.com.
All right. Well, it's my pleasure to bring in Reuben. Hey, Reuben, how's it going?
Doing well. Thanks, guys, for having me today. Well, that's an old trailer. Hey, you gotta update that.
Hey, it still did some great coverage, though, I will say. I think that it's really important that it not only touches on the ease of managing it, but it also just kind of acknowledges the idea that time remapping can get really messy very quickly. There are things that whenever I'm doing time remapping, it's one of those things I'm like, I can only do this once. If this isn't within a pre-comp, then we're going to get out of control very quickly, very fast.
Inception world.
So how did this kind of come to be? Were you finding yourself in projects a lot, messing with time remapping, and you wanted a solution, or was this for a specific project? Where did this start?
As all tools, they kind of come up with a project need where you're just doing something over and over, and you think there's got to be an easier way. I actually have another template that I've never brought to market, but if I ever have the time to do it, I think there's a niche for it, and it's whiteboard animation. And the template is kind of a hybrid between traditional whiteboard animation where you're actually doing the marker, but much better than all these automated systems you see out there, which just look so fake to me. So I actually green screened my hand on a live whiteboard, doing 20, 30 different motions, keyed it out, and then I just needed a way to recall the different whiteboard motions, like drawing, erasing with a thumb, erasing with two fingers, wiping with an eraser. And I stitched them all into one giant movie, and I just thought, okay, how can I leverage time remapping to call on command these different sections of the movie? And so I just started with some simple scripting and of course just scraping from the internet and building on the shoulders of other giants out there, of course, like the Dan Eberts and others. And out kind of came the system where if I identified all the key pieces of action on a comp as split layer markers, I could just call them at will. And so now I have a really solid whiteboard template where I can kind of track the hand, and it looks quite realistic actually. Where now I'm drawing, and now I'm erasing, and now I'm wiping, and now I'm scooting something across, and it's all live footage. And the most important thing is that once it's all set up, the implementation is just super quick, and that's what really pays off.
Yeah, I personally had a whiteboard project for a pharma company at one point, and I don't know if you've ever dealt with pharmaceuticals, but they obviously have a lot of legal approval, and if one thing changes, it all changes 1,000 times. And being able to go in and adjust the whiteboard sounds like a godsend.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk offline, and I'd be happy to share it with you. But I think you hit the nail on the head. Is this plugin. I always feel like a baby when I join these discussions because these other plugins are just amazing. They're so flashy. Marker Remap is not flashy, but at the same time, I'm also proud of it because it's so low level. That's why it's super powerful to me. I sometimes have a hard time, when I recommend it to somebody and hey, give this a shot. It'll sit on their desk. I'll even give them a free coupon code. It'll sit there for months. And then they'll call I can't solve this thing. Help me figure it out. Well, try this, try this workflow. It's a kind of a different way of thinking about your project. And they'll do it. And then almost 100% of the time, people come back and say, I can't believe I haven't been doing this all this time. Because it is a different way of thinking about your projects that helps you separate your decision-making into stages that are more discrete pieces of decision-making. I don't know if I can show my screen at all, but could I show my screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
share. Does it share the sound?
There's a small tick box at the bottom left that says also share your sound.
Let's see. Okay.
In the meantime, Flo is asking, how does this one affect footage? So the footage itself doesn't get affected. It's just how the program reads it, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I mean it's straight up time remapping. So
it's more than just time remapping. It's really pre-comp management with time remapping. Right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so
you've really
one.
created a tool that simplifies how pre-comping in After Effects is super powerful, and it's one of the things that makes After Effects. But a lot of people are really daunted by it. I know so many people that are scared to pre-comp because they feel like they're going to lose control of their project.
Yeah.
And so with Time Remap, you kind of make it simple for them and create like a library of things that you can just grab wherever you need, wherever you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate you saying that. It's spinning, and I don't know if you can see my screen now.
Not quite yet, but as soon as I see it, I will bring it in for you.
Share.
Is it something that I could potentially bring up?
No, it's actually a file that I'm working on here. Let me see.
By the way, Tom in the chat says flashy is a lot less important than useful. And,
Thank you.
I will agree with that. I mean, when we started aescripts, we were all, everything was a workflow tool. We did not have the flashy plugins until later. And it's funny how the promos that we show are always the plugins that do like flashy cool things, but it is so important to have those those really workflow tools that just help you make your job faster and easier. And you're talking about revisions. That's a huge one, right? Like if you can make your revisions fast and easy, it also makes it so that the final product ends up in a better place.
Well, I remember a few years ago, there was a design award for some government website, and it won Design of the Year. And it was back when I was still in school, and we all brought it up, and it was relatively ugly and not flashy. But we were talking around this circle about why it would win Design of the Year, and I think while I wouldn't classify marker remap as ugly, I would say that where it really shines is usability and a very clear like sections. You don't have the crazy panels where it has pretty colors or anything, but it is very clear as to what you are controlling and where those parameters are, and that goes leaps and bounds beyond anything that you would consider.
And one day I will learn how to do the CEP panels and make it beautiful like everything else. But I'm afraid to break it, honestly.
Right.
It's super stable so far.
Dawson says this is one of those plugins that gives you flexibility in your projects later in the process, so that when the client inevitably asks for changes, you save yourself valuable time there.
Thank you.
100%.
I really appreciate that feedback. Well, it looks like you can't see my screen, right? At all.
Yeah, no, it's not popping up for me, unfortunately.
Well, one of the things I wanted to point out, and I know my time is limited here, but and I'll have, it's in my plans, in the works to make a video about it, but I've been using it a lot with audio, and that's where it's super powerful as well. When you take a voiceover, just tap the double L so you can see your waveform, and I'm now including another secondary script. It's not a script guide panel, just goes right into your scripts folder. I attach it to a shortcut key, in my case F6, and it's fit to last. So basically you play your playhead, play your audio, so audio is talking, and you hit F6, and it'll kind of place a marker backwards, so that in a really short amount of time, you can basically tag your whole audio voiceover with labels. Maybe it's just the first few words of of your script, of your narration as it goes along, so that when you bring in your VO as a comp, not only is your voiceover now labeled, but by attaching applying time marker remap to it, you can now space out your VO live easily with your animation as you're creating. Another use I've had a lot is with special with sound effects. So, most of us aren't doing, Hollywood Lover compositing, or, we're doing the stuff for small ad campaigns and everything, and we need pops and clicks and dings. So sometimes I'll just have a comp with click, pop, ding, this, whatever. And so instead of having this giant layer stack of just sound effects just for days, you just have one simple line, and I'm just calling click, pop, boom, click, it's just one simple line.
Now, are you labeling that off to the side as to ping comes in at 20 seconds and bark comes in at 25 seconds? How do you keep that in control and labeled?
With the markers.
With the markers. I mean, yeah, just every audio segment in my like sound effects comp, it's just, it's labeled.
And it's all within one. So you don't have that big stack like you were saying.
Stack again. Exactly.
So. All right. I do really...
Ryan, I have a perfect example of how you can use marker remap. You know how when somebody says the sale and you hit a button and the sales graphics comes on? So...
Huge savings.
That's exactly.
So imagine having a version of that in your comp, right? So you just move the marker wherever you need it to pop up.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Real quick before you leave, though, I do want to touch on match position really quick.
Yes.
And so then, we'll just talk about that for just a minute, and then we'll hop off. But let's play the reel. So speaking of accessibility with 3D, that is beautiful because 2D 3D, which is even more accessible to those of us who are scared to jump into the 3D world.
Great song, by the way. That's a great demo reel.
And this one came out of a friend of mine had a project where they needed to export the positions of After Effects elements out to Final Cut Pro. And there's no good translator. And so their After Effects compositions had a bunch of 3D layers and all this stuff was happening, but their text elements had to be set in Final Cut Pro because of translation. And so that's where some of this match position stuff came out of, and it just turned into this other small little script. But also because there's no easy way to match position in After Effects, and it drives me crazy. So, I use this all the time as well. And in the newest version of match position, there's also a distribute. There's no distribute in After Effects either, which also drives me crazy. The align to palette doesn't have it, and so the distribute button does what it says. It's like you just take two objects. It doesn't matter where they are in space, and just evenly distributes them. It's great for setting up, parallax scenes. You set your foreground bush, your background mountain, and just throw everything. And then start working from there. So
if it's not there, I like the idea of just like forget it. I'll make it myself and it'll be fixed and I won't hate it anymore.
I'm wondering, is it there? Am I like the only stupid one that doesn't know it's here? But it's like it's not there. And you know where else it's not in Cinema 4D, and I have a match position for Cinema 4D coming out, and that's another place where I'm just like, can I just get this right over there without parents, constraints?
Yeah, exactly.
It works beautifully. And in that version of match position, which I'm just about done with, I'm also experimenting with a Blender style 3D cursor, and it actually works really cool because, like, for example, I just had an animation recently where I had this orb, and then I needed these molecules to just stick to one angle of one of the faces, and it was like there's so many faces along this tetrahedron or whatever it was. But you basically select your polygon, match position with the option for the 3D cursor, and it throws a green 3D cursor on it. And now you have a position for any face, line, or edge at the vertex normal, and you just stick it to that spot. It's just so helpful. And I don't know why these tools don't have these simple functions.
Hey, but it takes people like you, though, to help build it out to keep the rest of us sane. So we do appreciate it. Well, I do know we're gonna move on to our next guest, but it was a pleasure having you. I went ahead and I threw in your website straight into both chats. Make sure you guys not only check out the awesome sales on aescripts, but you also check out Reuben and all of his great endeavors. He's got training on Gumroad, and he's got a lot of socials that you can follow. So make sure you pop in and give him a follow.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good one. All right, so up next, we have a screenwriter and director from Germany, which is really exciting. It is Constantin Maier. He is the creator of Workflower, not Workflower, as I ignorantly said earlier. And Lloyd was like, no, think about that. Give it a second. It's a pleasure to have him on all the way from Germany. I know it's a little bit late. It's not stupid late, but it's getting up there. So we appreciate you staying awake and being here. I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer for Workflower, and then we'll bring you on in. So here we go.
Hi, my name is Constantin. For the past years, I've worked as a visual effects artist on several feature films and TV shows, and I just love working in After Effects. However, we all know of After Effects limitations, especially when it comes to complex comps, when we have to work with a lot of pre-comps or hundreds of layers within one comp. It can get messy. Really messy. Really fucking messy. That's why I spent over a year to develop Workflower. Using Workflower, you can create groups of layers, and you can do everything you would expect from a group. You can collapse and expand, move layers in and out, set a label color, select, parent all layers to the group header, disable, solo, lock, enable again, or duplicate. Heck, you can even create group mats. Or group mats within group mats. Or group mats within group mats within group mats. Well, you get the point. All of that, by the way, by using shortcuts. But that's not even all. With Workflower, you can create an adjustment layer only to selected layers. Disable or enable the effects. Use multiple adjustment layers. Change the opacity. You know, just like adjustment layers, but like only to selected layers. But wait, there is even more. Workflower wants to eliminate pre-comping as much as possible, because, as Reddit says, pre-composing might fix a multitude of problems, won't get you a date though. Well, Workflower does. Guaranteed. Say you want to build a light wrap, or displace a set of layers, or create a bump map from a 3D layer. In all these cases, to be able to reference our layers, we need to fit them to comp size. That means pre-comping. Expression errors. The comp name changed, and the transforms are off. The camera, copied into our pre-comps, still off. The parents are missing. Fucking parents! It's frustrating. Now there's clone and pre-comp. It clones all layers into a pre-comp and links them with expressions, camera and parents included. That way you can keep your layers in your composition and work in it, as if nothing ever happened. If you add an effect or change a parent, just hit refresh to update the clone. And when you're done working on your clone, just unlink it. And your After Effects will be as fast as one of your cores will allow it. Oh, and one more thing. With Workflower, you can merge several mats on one track mat. Then, modify the mats as you like. Oh, and all transforms will be set correctly. And yes, even without collapse transformation enabled. Also, quickly add new mats. But there's even so much more. Workflower, missing essentials for After Effects. Get it now at aescripts.com.
Wow, that is one of the most robust and beautiful and surprisingly funny product overviews that I have ever seen. So congratulations on that. That's so well done. Well done. And welcome to the show. It's good to see you. How you doing?
Yes. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Oh. Thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I think that the first thing that stands out to me about Workflower is, as somebody who was brought into this world of motion through originally Photoshop and then kind of built on from that from at a young age, and then eventually, learned about motion and other Premiere or Cinema, is that you kind of get this idea of layers and you get this idea of groups, and then you get introduced to these other programs, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, where are all those things that I learned in the other programs? And Workflower is something that finally brings all of the things that you kind of just expect, like you said, the essentials, and it brings them straight into where they should be. And I just want to say thank you.
But speaking of other programs, what it really does is, like he says it in the beginning of the promo, he loves working in After Effects, because what has happened is a lot of people who have to do complex comping have gone to node-based compositing programs like Nuke, which make things like grouping mats or multiple mats or mats within mats easy because of the node thing. So Workflower has actually brought that simplicity to After Effects, because before you really had to do some serious pre-comping. So
I mean, this was kind of the inspiration, I guess, also, or the reason why I did it, because I mean, there's the big love for After Effects. For I've been doing it since I'm 14 or something, and so there's this immense love for the software, and I just, every time I open it, I just love it. But then there are these tremendously complex comps that I've worked on as a visual effects artist with whatever 300 layers, and it gets so difficult, and also like you need some node functionality, I guess, at that point. And and at the company I used to work at, or I still do from time to time, there was always this, there were the After Effects people and the Nuke people, and I don't know, there was always this fake rivalry between the two groups, and we're always poking fun at each other somehow. But I don't know. And it was always like people said, you can't do that in After Effects, and I said, well, you can. You just have to do these 10 workarounds to get there. And so this was kind of how Workflower was born, to kind of show all these stupid Nuke people that that you can do it, basically.
All the stupid new people, shout out to them. Pour one out.
And this is another example of the tools that we love to have. I mean, the genesis of aescripts was tools like this. I was working like Constantin in a real studio on real jobs, doing really complex things, and had very real frustrations, and built tools to solve those frustrations. So Workflower is the absolute result of, not, you said you worked on it for a year, but I'm going to argue you've worked on it for your entire career, because your entire career you've sort of stumbled upon what the frustrating parts are, and then probably thought of solutions. Like you said, there's 10 workarounds. So you've now encapsulated that into a product that anybody can use, not just, a multi-year veteran compositor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this was really born from these years, especially these years where I really worked professionally. And then always coming up with these, great workarounds. And and now, I don't know, for me, it was also the time, like, actually I'm a director, a screenwriter, and I've had some difficult projects actually. And I really felt like I needed something new in my life, like a new challenge. And then there was always the scripting thing that was really fascinating to me. And and then there was built up all these ideas what you can do in After Effects, and that was such an inspiring time really to learn programming and everything. So a lot of fun there, because I've never really had this in a long time in my life, this learning something completely new. And I don't know, I feel like with scripting, and it's still up to this point, that it's still like super fascinating to me, because there are always new challenges, and and then there are always these things that you still know about After Effects, and then you remember there was this thing I learned 5 years ago or something, and then you can put it in there. And it's still up until this day a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I love the perspective of just having that experience as a screenwriter and director, and having a need, because obviously when you look at all these, you think, everyone's just coming from just a motion background, but being able to have problems across the entire industry and have them being solved by something that you find new and exciting, I think is really cool. Dawson says that the fix for the pre-comp expression breaking issues alone is worth buying this for. And we've been talking a lot about messiness and clean projects and working in teams. And I think that this is a really good example of making sure that before you pass something off or before you get back into something, that everything can work and you can actually have a project that is revisitable and actually functional beyond just what you know.
It's also worth noting that this is not just for doing really advanced, super complex comps. It can be just like a simple thing where you just want to group your layers and work more sanely, or not pre-comp when you can avoid it. So this is really for any After Effects artist. This is not just intended for the high end, but you're getting the brain trust of somebody who is doing really, really complex things. So it makes even the simple stuff easier to do.
And Johannes is saying that 65 United States dollars is crazy cheap for this, but you don't even know that if you use the code CYBER, you can get
huge savings.
Some huge savings, 25% off, baby. But I definitely agree. The amount of features that are packed into one version is just incredible. I mean, you have creating groups, collapsing groups, selecting and moving groups, parenting groups, disabling solo unlock groups, relabeling, duplicating, group maps. There's just so much that it's a super tool. And I hesitate to say that because I know a lot of the plugins on aescripts could be also labeled as super tools, but this one in particular is just it's. I don't use the term on steroids. I hate it when people do that. I don't know why. When they're like, "This is done on steroids," but this almost kind of feels like the toolbar on steroids.
Yeah, I mean, it might take a bit to get used to it, I think. I mean, this is why I think for someone that's just getting into After Effects, I think, the groups is really something I think everyone needs. It's just, I guess you have to be a bit aware that it just might take a bit to get into it. But the good thing is, and that, I mean, you don't have to learn everything, obviously, of workflow. I mean, you don't need clone and pre-comp, for example. You can just watch the group tutorial and then get into that. But because I mean the way I meant how it was supposed to work was really this huge time saver and a lot of frustration to solve a lot of frustrations. But it still demands that you learn, because it's based around shortcuts to be as fast as possible. But obviously, you have to learn a bit about the shortcuts. Otherwise, it doesn't really, shine, I guess. Just something to be a bit aware of, I think.
And all those are customizable, so I can go in here and I can switch something up if I want to, and it'll still work within the same parameters of keyboard shortcuts, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you can customize every of the shortcuts for sure. Yeah.
And this is all accessible even before you buy it. So if you want to check it out and you want to look to see if you're willing to teach yourself different parts of the program, it's all here in the wiki.
Free trial. Almost every product that we have has a free trial, so you can always try it out too before purchase.
Yeah, and I think that it just goes to show you the amount of passion you have in this project with the Bible that you have created, just walking through this wiki, and every single part you have known bugs, upcoming features, and then, of course, the main functions that break down the product itself.
I mean, that was really so much. I mean, to be honest, this whole project was, I think, the greatest time mismanagement I've ever had in my life, probably. Like, I think at the beginning, I thought it takes me maybe a month or something. And then, I mean, but I think the features I thought at the beginning, they were all like the ones that are implemented now. So I don't think there were any major ones that actually came after that, but obviously there was a lot of details I figured out what you can do. But just the whole scripting itself took a year or something. Yeah, and then
Wow.
the whole documentation and everything. I think in the beginning I thought, okay, maybe it takes me a week to write the documentation, but those were 2 or 3 months, I guess, that I only wrote the user guide. And then obviously doing all these tutorials and everything. So it was always kind of a joke. Like I was telling people, yeah, I'm finished in a month. And I don't think at some point people stopped believing me. Like,
well, do you ever feel like it's finished?
Or
will it always continue to prosper and grow?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've been, for the past 3 months or something, I've been working very hard on like a new update. So there's a lot of stuff coming up in the new release. A lot of like smaller things, but one major one I'm pretty proud of is the refresh layout function, which, refreshes layout you have to execute. So, every, the group layout and everything looks correctly. This I was able to bring down like so it's 4 times the speed now approximately. So, and I mean, in smaller comps, it doesn't really matter. But once you have a comp with, let's say 300 layers, with the existing version right now that's out there, it takes a bit, and the new version, it's so much nicer to work with that, I would say. And what else? So there's automatic trimming, for example, in the new version. So so you see which in and out points. So when you have the in and out points of your group layers, the group header itself will now be at the at the in and out points of the contained layer. So every time you collapse your group, what the length of the group is. And there are a bunch of new features that are also in the user guide you can check out. So, but I don't know, like the thing is, this can be an internal project probably.
Absolutely. But that's exciting to see. And like we were saying, for the price that it is right now and everything that you get, it's incredible. So I would definitely recommend. We're looking forward to whenever that update may come. And obviously no rush. You already have a lot going on, but it's something exciting to see down the line.
Well, I think it will be there so pretty much the version is finished now. Like the beta itself is finished. It's just that obviously now it has to be tested and everything, like because so much is interconnected in workflow. Like so many functions talk to each other and everything that you just have to test it out for a while to see what bugs you could run into. So I just have to make sure that this works. And so, but I would hope for like maybe before Christmas, but I don't know. I don't want to.
Whoa, that's so much sooner than I thought it was going to be. That's right around the corner. So, I mean, we won't hold you to it, but fingers crossed. That's for sure. So,
we'll see. We'll see. I can't promise. Experience tells me that I've been always wrong on these things with this piece of software.
Well, regardless, we'll look forward to it, whether that's within the year or it's in the new year. But in the meantime, everyone should go check out Workflower right on aescripts.com. I'm going to go ahead and put the link one more time in the chat. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It was great to have you, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, it was great being here. Thanks.
All right, bye. So our last guest of the day is Antoine Dornstetter, and that's actually a huge tool that I use, which is AfterCodecs. The assets that were created for this stream actually utilized it in order to export it to MP4s to then have it uploaded onto StreamYard. And it's one of the plugins that I've had for quite some time, and I don't know how I would live without it if it suddenly were to go away. We have some exciting information about updates to it, and we're going to bring him on in just a second. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and play the reel, and then we can talk about it with him on the show. All right, welcome to the show, Antoine. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, Lloyd. Thank you for hosting me. Hey, fine.
Yeah,
Thank
of
you.
course. I'm going to put the link to AfterCodecs into both chats.
But we should mention
like I said,
Autokroma, because
Autokroma
on the site. So.
On aescripts. So, well, I am using first names. I guess I should also probably put in the usernames for the products. AfterCodecs is not the only thing that you're offering, but it is the one that I want to highlight just because it's my favorite. But I want to give you kind of the floor to talk about it and why you created it and where it's going now.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for hosting me. Yeah, well, like any other scripts and plugins on aescript.com, it was for my own personal use at the beginning, for my own personal project. I realized how annoying it was to render directly from After Effects and the default codecs from Adobe. I wasn't satisfied by it. The QuickTime H.264 back then was really horrible. The quality was really bad. I didn't like it. So even for my own personal project, I kept using the render line and image sequences out of After Effects. And it took a lot of time, a lot of spent time for nothing. It was just a waste and was just making my time launching render like a second stage after rendering image again out of After Effects. So I was spending so much time doing this and was like, what do professionals do? How do they really export the videos out of After Effects? So I created this own plugins for my own use and then contacted Lloyd, and he was very interested and said, let's do it. Let's propose this to our user base. And that's how we got started. And since then, a lot of things happened, like lots of people contacting me about what they really need. And this has been the most exciting thing, is learning about what you need, what's taking the most of your time daily. And I'm here to solve all the issues you have about this kind of things.
Yeah, I will say that when I first was getting into doing motion, I was always irritated by hopping into Media Encoder because it would add such a huge to do at the end of my product, and I would be like, I don't want to leave the program. I just want to export it and show it to the client. This isn't the final export anyway. I just need to have a H.264 that I can send over Slack. And that's when AfterCodecs came into my life, and it's a godsend. I might be, complaining a bit much, but I was a huge diva about it. I was like, I gotta go to Media Encoder.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I'm glad you like it.
That. You're not alone in being a diva about that. We all feel that pain. And as a matter of fact, Antoine's point about getting feedback from the users is what led him to create his newer products, right, Antoine?
Yes. Yeah. I realized how we created Influx recently and just got it out. Because we realized there's so much codecs and container missing in Premiere, After Effects, and Media Encoder, so we started doing this Influx importer. So it's like the reverse of AfterCodecs. It's how to import new files into Adobe. But really, once we added the codecs, we did it, and now we need more feedbacks about what is your daily workflow, how do you import footage into Premiere Pro and After Effects and things like this. And there's a lot of things we can still improve. Like if you're dragging, dropping files into Premiere Pro or After Effects, we can maybe help with the panel or something. So we need a lot of feedbacks for this, and we're ready to do anything to improve your workflow.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's also a really good transition also into wanting to highlight Influx real quick. So let's check that reel out as well.
Cool.
So what I'm really excited about that firsthand is the implementation of WebM. I use OBS when I'm not dealing with guests on the stream, and I'm just streaming myself. And up until this point, I was actually using AfterCodecs to use ProRes 4444, which is unofficial, and then I could have an alpha channel. And I recently learned about WebM and the idea that I can export alpha channels on WebM and I can use them as overlays, and it exponential, like I can't describe, it is like a 16th of the file size for the same exact animation, and I can save them on my computer now. So it's really exciting to see that and other emerging codecs to be started implemented. I'm
glad you're talking about this, because there is a lot of things we can do between AfterCodecs and Influx now. Next year, basically, we will need to make the two work together so that you can export anything in AfterCodecs and import it right back in Influx and make the two work great together. It's a good idea, yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's huge. This is all something that Influx is relatively new, right?
Yeah.
That's one that came like within the last year or so.
It's just recently, like 2 months ago.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the launch.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's exciting to see that you've been listening to what people are responding to, and seeing where it goes.
And you're Ryan, what you just described is a perfect example of what this opens up. Is everybody works differently, and a big complaint about After Effects is everybody's like, oh, why do I need to buy a extra plugin to do this thing? It's because if After Effects tried to do all these things and support all these codecs, it would be huge bloatware. But then you can just get these tools that work and allow you to work in your workflow and your whatever needs are, and get it done, this way without having to wait on Adobe to do all these things, right? And we should also mention, by the way, Antoine is I'll let you speak about this, Antoine, but you're a contributor to the FFmpeg open source project, right? And this is where all of this knowledge comes from, of being able to work with codecs and containers natively, which is what's really happening under the hood here.
Yeah. So we started with FFmpeg for AfterCodecs and Influx. But basically, anything you need, if we have to implement it on our own, we are going to develop our own codecs or do our own bug fixes and everything. FFmpeg is just like a start. And there are some bug fixes that we got upstream. And next year, I think we will publish more of this. Maybe it won't be integrated in the official. But we'll do the work maybe to see if it can be done. For example, the VR metadata thing, it's not in the official FFmpeg. We had it. And maybe next year, we'll try to publish a patch so that they can try to integrate it. But definitely there's some bug fixes that we discussed. And there's a lot of new codecs also that we can, that we're working on, and maybe we'll publish them with FFmpeg. And about what you said about Adobe, I definitely agree with you. And I think what I really expect is, like, if we can offload this kind of work from Adobe, they could focus on something else and make the rest really perfect and use more efficiently their own time, so that the whole ecosystem just gets better with everyone, with every plugin vendors.
And I liked what Lloyd was saying about it being a fine line between bloatware and the idea of just having a robust tool. And Dawson's also in the chat saying that After Effects is like a library and the plugins are the books, which is a really nice metaphor going on.
I think this is maybe why it's the most popular compositing software also, because they have a huge marketplace that just lets independent people publish their own script and plugins. And this is really a great asset for Adobe, I think. And this is why it's so popular, right? Also for Premiere Pro. So it's in their own interest to do that, and they did it well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One last one that I want to touch on before we let you go is I know that we were talking a lot about After Effects, and I know that these are also available in Premiere Pro, which is really nice, having things that are spanning multiple programs. But you also have your PlumePack for Premiere Pro, and so I want to play that real quick.
Hello everyone, it's Nicola from Autokroma. Today I will introduce you PlumePack, our new product for Premiere Pro. This new tool will help you minimize and organize your Premiere Pro project and media. PlumePack does almost the same job as the native Premiere Pro project manager, but with less bugs and more features, especially the ability to trim your files without re-encoding. The problem of the project manager is that it doesn't work for some projects for unknown reason, and there is no option to crop your files without re-encoding. This is what we call trimming, and this is what you can do with PlumePack. 2 different licenses are available. The basic license is cheaper, but you cannot trim with it. You can only copy your files. We hope you enjoyed the video and that PlumePack will help you in your workflow to get more efficient projects.
Thank you for your accessibility also for all budgets. I know we're on a sale right now, but it is always really nice to be able to see different versions available for different needs. And the idea, like we were talking about, there's always free trials, but also just being able to like, okay, I just need to copy. I don't necessarily need the trim. It's nice to also have that. So thank you for making that available.
Great, you're welcome. So yeah, I'm working with AfterCodecs on this, who are responsible for this project, so Mario and Nicola. And basically, when we were working on Bureau Studio with Nicola, we realized there was so much issue with the project manager of Premiere Pro, and it's like in every project, it was the same in AfterCodecs and Bureau Studio and Influx. We were like infuriated that there was so many bugs and so many limitations in Premiere Pro, and so we decided to do something about it. And so we are getting rid of the Premiere Pro project manager bugs, and then we are adding features on top of it. So the video you see, it's the old UI. It's already been adding a lot of features in there. The PlumePack has been getting even more stable, way better than before. And on top of this, we are adding the ability to trim the footage. So you can really sometimes divide by 3 the size of your project if you need to send it to some colleagues online. And in this times of remote work, it's really important to lower the file size to get everything quicker and use less disk space. So for archiving a project or sending them to a colleague or keeping them for later, it's really important, I think, and it's going to be a great tool, I think.
And that concept of trimming without re-encoding is really huge. And this is why having somebody with Antoine's brain that can actually figure this out is amazing, because as an editor, you know, like if you have these long, huge video files of very long takes and stuff, but you only need to have a little bit, especially when you're archiving or sharing the project, it really makes no sense to carry all this extra baggage, for lack of a better word. And traditionally, before, you had to re-encode to trim it, and this obviously has lots of issues having to do that. So yeah, trim without re-encoding. Seems like not much, but it's a huge deal.
And just to go along with today's theme over and over again, all about those clean and crisp projects, and having those trimmed sources are always really nice.
Yeah.
So,
there's just also something that I hope for is the way people, once they know about a tool, they will change the way they work. Like, for example, if you're filming a conference of 4 hours and you know you will be able to trim the file with PlumePack, you're going to change the way you film. Maybe you will use more cameras or things like this. And I'm really excited to see, once you got a product out, how people think they can have new use for it and change the way they work and increase the efficiency of all the production.
So true.
And also, speeding up that workflow means more money, baby. And then just one call out real quick. Joel is also saying, I'm still amazed by the amount of French script authors. So shout out to all the French authors out there.
Cool. He's Japanese. What? No, I'm just kidding.
No. Anyway, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're really excited to continue to see Autokroma continue to push out quality content. You have 5 different programs up on, not programs, or plugins on the website. I'm going to go ahead and put the profile in both the chats.
Autokroma is really great about staying on top of all the latest stuff. So you're talking about M1 silicone, Apple silicone compatibility, multi-film rendering, whatever it's like, they really are on top of it. So you can expect to get a lot of support and making sure that the plugins are always updated for the latest and greatest stuff. So
Yeah, and it's also great to just know that, and this is something I learned on the stream today, is that you're involved in the global initiative for FFmpeg. It's really cool to just be able to see as technologies evolve, and having people behind the scenes making things easier for those of us don't know that much about codecs, but it's interesting to see them evolve, and then also learning about new ones that as somebody who doesn't code, that I can add to my workflow and work with my clients. So it's great.
Yeah. So just maybe a last word. We're working on AfterCodecs version 2, and there will be a lot of new features, new codecs, new features in After Effects to help you render faster, more easily, new features in media encoder and everything. And so if you have any kind of feedbacks or any needs, you need to contact us and tell us about it. So just an example, for example, in After Effects, the sound is limited to stereo. So I'm always wondering how people do videos with like 4-channel tracks or 5.1 audio channel. I'm wondering how they do it. Maybe we could add an export option, which is reintegrating back the original sound, which is higher than stereo, more tracks. So maybe there is a feature to do about this. It's just an example that I really need your feedback first before being able to create a feature about this. So please contact us and tell us more.
Fantastic. I'm personally, as a creator, looking forward to that upgrade. I will be definitely giving any feedback. I have not had any issues myself. I have
in the comments is talking about how they use PlumePack daily, and
right.
so much footage.
Yeah, we're on a daily basis working with a lot of footage daily, and being able to clean them and trim them and have them ready to put in edit, specifically saving storage space, is awesome. And then Dawson's also calling out that both of these tools are amazing and bringing efficiency and effectiveness to probably the most technical and complex side of the After Effects puzzle, which I love that term too, of saying After Effects puzzle, because when you sit down at it, it's like a jigsaw. There's stuff all over the place, and you just take, you put a few things together here and there, and then you finally have your final piece. But it's a process to get there,
Definitely. So. And this is also why you should use the aescript application manager to manage all your scripts and plugins really easy. Much easier this way.
Ooh, what a nice transition. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm going to let you go, but we are going to hop right into that right now. But thank you again for coming on the show.
Thanks a lot.
Forward to everything. And we'll talk soon. Thanks again.
Yeah, cool. Bye. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Au revoir.
So just as he was bringing up, right as we were going off, I wanted to make sure that we touched on this before we logged off. And
your favorite.
It is my favorite, and it's the plugin manager that holds all of your plugins that you have purchased or downloaded, both free and paid, on aescripts.com, and it helps you keep everything up to date. As you can see, I need to update, but I have been holding off because I haven't updated my Adobe products yet.
Okay, I'm not. It'll be quick and easy.
Yeah, it will be super quick and easy. You can go in.
Don't let somebody else tell you when you have to do anything.
Yeah, I don't have anyone dictate what I got to do.
That's right.
But it's really great. You can do multiple updates. So when I finally get around to it, I don't have to go in and click on everyone individually. I can go and you can control click, and you can install and update all of the products that you have downloaded. It'll also give you nice notifications to let you know when there are sales or different updates or new versions. And then, of course, it also really makes licensing super easy, because all you have to do is click licensing and then you click activate. You don't even have to hop into the aescripts.com area and copy and paste that code. Also,
you can select all of the products and license them all at once.
Yeah, boom, Control A. Turn everything orange and license it out.
Yeah. Shift select, Control select. And here's a new feature since the summer, Ryan. Go under products, the products menu in the top.
That's my products menu.
Well, there you see a trial.
Oh, yeah.
You see there trials. So go back to to the left.
To the left. Over here?
Yeah. See there it's trials. So if you go up to account, sorry, I said products, but I meant account. Add trial. So now you can just download a trial version for any product. that we have on the site. So
that's amazing. So I can
now
just like,
you can use the manager for products you might not have already bought.
that's incredible. That's awesome. And then you just have all the manager there, so it's not even mixed up with everything else.
So you can have your trials separated from the ones that you actually have. So
very nice. That's awesome. And then one other thing that I want to make sure that we touch on before we go is we had a lot of conversations today about talking to developers and talking about feedback. You have the aescripts.com/contact area where you can go in and you can search for whatever you have. Or
you can just skip the knowledge base and click on open a support ticket right away.
Or you can do it. There is areas where there's forums on the products, but obviously please don't put the feedback in there, because obviously the best place to get it is here.
If you need help with the product, go to contact and then search the knowledge base, because sometimes if it's like, where can I can't find my license, or things that are in FAQs, then if you type license, for example, you'll see an example of.
And it'll just pop right up. My computer's giving me a hard time, but
anyway, and then select the product that you need help with, and you'll be put in touch directly with the developer. So
and as you can see, developers are very communicative. They love your feedback. They sometimes create new products based off of feedback. And also there's updates and there's discounts for those updates, or there are a lot of times free updates. The amount of free updates that I get blow my mind all the time. And it's just a really nice ecosystem of people who are really excited about making your job easier. So
good first day.
But yeah, it was a great first day. I mean, that was a killer first day. We went through so many products. We have even more all throughout the week. As you guys know, there is 25% off site-wide, which is nuts. Just make sure you include the code CYBER when you check out to get 25% off. And if you're upgrading stuff, you can even get 25% off your 25% off if you have the previous product, which is really cool. Tomorrow, who do we have tomorrow? I gotta look.
Actually, I'm gonna jump off. I'll let you wrap it up.
All right. Well, thank you for joining, Lloyd. Appreciate it. And see you tomorrow. So tomorrow we have a bunch of different guests on. We will be looking at data clay. We'll be looking at pixel encoder, best edit, iExpressions, easy bounce. And we'll be talking to different developers, and we'll also be looking at different products of people who aren't even on the show, and just highlighting some great deals for you. I will be using it as exploratory for myself when I've been creating some of these promos and assets. I'm learning different products that I'm really interested in, and I'll let you guys know when something sticks out to me. Just for example, even today with AfterCodecs, I can be honest, I rely on that thing so much, and it's really cool to have 25% off. You guys can always join my Discord, which is down below in here on Behance. YouTube is not there, but it's a great community of different motion designers and graphic designers, and it's great to give feedback and talk about different things that we're interested in. I just want to say thank you to everyone that showed up today. We will be back again tomorrow for about an hour stream again at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And I just want to say thank you to Aniket, Christian, Jack, Lloyd, obviously, for being here, Mercurial, Dawson, Jolion, Abyss, Joel, Autokroma, Let's Motion, Carlo, Johannes, if I'm missing, Flo, Tom, Rigel, Injiang, you name it. Thank you guys all for being here and taking place in chat. If there's any products you want to see covered in the show throughout the week, just make sure you go ahead and comment in the chat, and we will respond to comments as they come up. And then, of course, Lloyd, he knows all these products like the back of his hand. Like you can throw anything at him, and he really understands all of the different features that are offered, because he self-reviews all of them, which is crazy. But thank you again to all of our guests. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and close out with the official adorable trailer for the sales for the week, and then I will see you all tomorrow. But thank you again. My name is Ryan Selvy. I normally stream on Behance on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 4 p.m. But since it's the sales, we're doing here on YouTube and here on Behance Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So enjoy your Cyber Week. Big hello to Rick and Lara right as we're heading out. But I hope to catch you guys tomorrow. It was a fun one. Replay will be available in just a little bit. And yeah, you do you. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Bye.